Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Salam Media. We are discussing resilience this month, and I have wonderful speakers ahead of me for the remaining of the week. Between 11 and 1, we are going to have most dynamic women currently in industry who have actually caught an eye of the challenges but the resilience that have expressed in their careers and professions. My next guest, Katie Mohamed, is no stranger to media. She has been an advocate in different forms of women empowerment, as well as founding the Women's Suite, the W Suite, which hosts women in the forums of business and entrepreneurship. Katie is an authoress who recently wrote a memoir titled Brave Today. Now, a memoir is a nonfiction narrative writing, which is based on personal memories. I have known Katie for a few years now, and I'm eagerly anticipating the expression of this book that she's going to share with us in this interview. And I've been privileged enough to attend the book launch, but also to hear some of the short stories along these years of being a friend of hers. And, some of them which express vulnerability, ambition, some of them that show determination, sheer challenge. I mean, if you know Katie, she's a presence and you just get inspired by being in her company, which I love. I love being around these type of women that not only align with a specific purpose, but also show us that resilience is so possible, that we are capable of so much more than we envision and we seek out to do. And to see this wonderful compilation of hers, Brave Today, being completed just speaks volumes about Katie's inner strength, about her ability to be resilient, and about the ability to also achieve those wildest dreams, those highest forms of success, which you never thought would be possible through the adversity of where the journey has started. So when I'm going to introduce Katie after the break, we're going to tap into many different aspects of Katie's life, from her journey of where she started to the book, and then lastly to her visit to Aqsa, which I think is going to be inspiring because there were bits and pieces of it that I got at the launch, but I think that will completely and holistically complete the interview with her, because it will show the gravitation towards like-minded causes of community women all over, and now which has become a global advocacy for all of us to take the stance on media and to speak about such causes that are equally important to women as they are to any other genders and things out there. So I'm just going to quickly introduce Katie because I see we've got some time. Assalamu alaikum, Katie, and welcome to Salam Media.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you for having me, Shahista. And thank you to the listeners.
So, CEO of Brandfusion, dynamic, charismatic TV broadcaster, businesswoman, now author of a memoir, founder of W Suite. Is there anything you haven't done, Katie?
I think there's lots that we still haven't done. I think if we already done, then I think our time on earth is over, and I don't think that's actually a thing. So yeah, there's lots more to do still. I think in our life we have to change people's life, and purpose work is what we all endeavor to do. And I think that's the most important thing in my journey, is to be of purpose and of service to people.
And I think that's exactly where we'd love to start off this interview, is saying that we're not done and we're waiting to hear what more lies ahead for us. So we're going to quickly cross over to an ad break and then start our interview with Katie Mohamed.
Shah, do you want to just close the door there?
With Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic, Sharia, and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings, from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
After the recent attacks on Gaza, many families have been displaced, with their homes left destroyed. Through your donations, our teams are on the ground in Gaza, providing support and delivering necessary aid to families affected. The people of Gaza need your help. Give hope. Donate today to Penny Appeal South Africa. www.pennyappeal.org.za 031 1100 573.
We are here on the ground with Penny Appeal organizations in Gaza.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Salam Media. Thank you for joining myself, Shahista, Thokan, in this last week of Women's Month, where we discussed resilience. And I think that's the best way to end a month, where we have something like a tool or a technique to take forward as women. Because yes, we're celebrated during this month, but yes, we have another 11 months that we have to push through, and always multitasking, juggling our lives, but trying to find inspiration and motivation to live our true purpose along the way. And I have a very special guest with me today for my second interview. It's Katie Mohamed, someone that I've looked up to for many years now, followed her journey, and therefore it was a no-brainer to get her on for the topic of resilience. Now, Katie, I always seem to gravitate towards women who are relatable, someone who other community women can resonate with, because oftentimes we view people as untouchable, people that we cannot access, people that we cannot have deep, meaningful conversations, even those conversations where we talk about crappy things that bring us down, that make us sad. So let's start with the importance of knowing who you are. So firstly, which industry are you based in? What is your primary job? And just introduce us to who you are as Katie Mohamed.
I call myself, so I'm Katie Mohamed. My name is Khadija, and Katie has just become a stage name as I speak about it, as I speak about it in my book. And it's a corporate name. And again, it goes back to our identity. And I think when we come from a country like South Africa, when we come through an apartheid era, and you want to be westernized, because I think back in the day, Shahista, like names like Khadija and Fatima just seemed a little bit traditional, and we didn't want to be traditional. So I think it was like, oh, just call me Katie, and that name stuck. And of course, through the corporate world, through my media background, Katie just became that. So I think part of what I talk about in my book is really about identity. So yes, Katie Mohamed is a brand name. It doesn't take away from who I truly am. I come from a little town, Richmond in Delaney in KZN, a village girl that aspired to, big city. And I've always wanted to be in the media space. And I think for me, that was one of my dreams, is to always be. I never got to study journalism, but I got to work at the broadcaster, which was where my core experience was. And after I left the broadcaster from radio and television, being there for 16 years, for 12 years now, I'm a businesswoman. I call myself a serial businesswoman. Serial because I do multiple projects. I do multiple projects, and I kind of now am a project consulting business, which means that any project I can deliver the magic on.
I loved that you spoke to the fact that we have to always identify to the environment that we are exposed to, not in terms of changing who we are, but actually gaining acceptance from those that are around us. And this is constantly a woman's struggle in terms of the validation, the appreciation, but the integration into what used to be a male-dominated world. And the diversity actually only started post your career took off. And I think well done in that sense. Speaking back to, we both hail from KZN. I'm also a Natal girl. And leaving those support structures, Katie, how has resilience then played a role in that life change of fleeing the nest, trying to make this ambitious dream work for you?
I think when we use the word resilience, it's really about the adversities that we have come through. But do we all want to go through adversities to be resilient? And I don't think that, I think that's an important factor, is we don't think that, oh, you're a strong brown girl, you can do this. We don't want the challenges. Why would we make it normal that we have to go through challenges to be where we are? However, if we are looking at adversities, we look at the prophets during the prophets' time, and you look at the adversities that they went through, and you realize that your adversities are not that challenging. You can really deal with it. So for me, it's always about the misfortunes that we've had, the challenges that we've been dealt with, but also don't sit in a victim mentality. Rise above the challenges that you have, because they don't define you. And for me, it's really about, yes, we the world is hard on us anyway. Why should we be hard on ourselves? And I think just coming out and embracing vulnerability through your resilience, I think, is very important, because then that's when people know who the true person you are. And I talk about authenticity, which is really important as well. So don't be afraid. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is really a strength, actually, to be able to say, I can't do this, or I haven't been able to do that, as well as I've actually made mistakes, because we all are human beings. We are flawed in our humanness. And I think for me, it's really about, you give yourself permission to deal with what has happened to you and overcome it.
So what I loved were the two aspects that you mentioned, that resilience isn't a choice, it's usually a tool. So we don't want to go through the adversity, but when it does occur, when that challenge does happen, we should be resilient in that moment. And the second was to embrace our imperfections, because, ultimately that's my parenting tool for life, is show my kids that we are two imperfect human beings trying to just guide them at the best we can. And I think that is the beauty of parenting, is when your children realize that there is no pressure to be perfect, because we're all just trying in life. And I think, that Brave today, when you explained it, and I was privileged enough to attend your book launch, where you explained the title, and you said every single day the choice to be brave is what's important to us. And I think that was a takeaway for me, because there are days where we just don't listen, and that for me was standing up bravely today to take on that particular day, shows that we need to live in the moment, be present for that day, and live for each day as if it was our last. So can you tell me, what was the inspiration behind writing the memoir?
I think it was more motivation than inspiration. I think motivation to be able to push myself, to push my boundaries. It was for me getting up one day, and I, as I speak in my book, is that I lost my sister-in-law in a car accident when was on my birthday. And of course, we so busy celebrating our birthdays, and we forget about the end of our life, because we're celebrating life. So that was like a very, and in my book, I start off with the fact is that when people know you, they wish you condolences, or and if they don't know you, it's happy birthday. And then you like, oh my God, this life
Such a paradox.
Yes. And for me, the next year when I had to celebrate my 50th birthday, it was in lockdown, and it was a very bittersweet, because she was the first person that would actually call me or send me a message after Fajr on my birthday, and she was not there. And she was like our fifth sister in our family, because I only have one brother. And for me, it was really, then we're in a lockdown. We have no idea what the world has in store for us. And for me, it was like, what do I do with my life? How do I document stuff in my life for a legacy for people to, for my grandchildren and people before that? And I always say is that for me is the most important thing. What legacy are we leaving? And of course, through that was a reflection, that motivation that made me sit down and document part of my life. And actually through that was an audit process of, actually, you were not sometimes a great human being. And how do I accept the fact that that I had these challenges that I faced? I also say that sometimes I feel like I was a narcissist in corporate South Africa. What has humbled me? And I know that my sister-in-law's death had really had a huge impact in my life and made me realize that we are so up our own backsides, if I can say, that we actually forget that there's a creator that can actually just change our life. And for me, it was really, and of course, that was the first part of it. And then I had COVID and I was in ICU and come out of it and realized that your life can be over. And have you made amends? Because we're so busy living in the present that the future that we think about is only material future and not our hereafter. So for me, that was what is my legacy and how can I honor myself and celebrate myself in writing a book? And what are the themes that I want to talk about? Because the universal themes that I talk about is loss and grief and aspiration as well. And our quest for this happiness and success that we all think, what is it? But don't. And for me, what I found about writing the book was really stay true to yourself, that your belief system is so important, your value system is so important. And that I realized has never gone away from the person who I am. I might have been a multifaceted person in all these years, but my belief and my value system, and I might not look the part, but I'm still a very traditional at heart. So I think for me, it's like, what is that daily practice that I honor my creator, and that was the most important thing. And you would have you read my book, by the way?
I'm reading bits of it. I actually was gifted it on that night, eh? I was very fortunate.
Well, I'm glad. And then you'll realize that a lot of the stuff, it might be my story, but you will resonate with the stuff about identity. You will resonate about making sense of your past. Like, how do we move forward without making sense of our past? So for me, it's really about how true can we be to ourselves? And I think for me, the book was really how authentic can we be for this world in order for us to be able to be brave enough to stand in front of our creator and say that I was a good, kind person, not about the cars that I had and the money in my bank.
And I think what I took away from your discussion, both that night and today, is it was a very cathartic process for you. You have reconciled like your life to say, these are the moments that actually made me. And they say as you get older, you get wiser. But what I actually believe is experiences shape and mold who we become. And your experiences have been vast because you've been exposed to, the different work environments, home environments, the growth as a young female, dynamic in industry, ambitious. And yes, we do get carried away by the frivolity of life. All of us, we look forward to it. It brings us joy and happiness, but it's so momentarily lived and enjoyed. And yes, we do not think about morality. And I think, mortality. And that's only when you suffer a great loss that you actually start questioning legacy and life and so on. And I always believe the footprint that we want to leave behind is in the hearts of people because we take nothing else with us.
Yeah.
So that legacy that you speak about is an important question. And I think it was raised where you did ask a few people, like, what is your legacy? What do you wish to leave behind? And it sparks a conversation because who actually thinks that far ahead, So we're going to cross over for a quick break before I continue the interview. And I think it's such a wonderful opening conversation to the listeners out there that we're going to leave on YouTube, because this is a memory. This is a moment where your book is going to have a lived footprint where the next generation can take, because we look for mentors, we look for inspiration, and we look for stories to gravitate towards. And as you said, it may or may not resonate, but there'll be something for everyone out there. So we'll quickly head for a break.
Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Valley's Motor Spares. We supply motor spares and accessories for all makes and models of motor cars, LDVs, buckies, trucks, and earth-moving equipment. We deliver on time, every time. Please contact us via WhatsApp on 014-592-0925 or call 014-592-0925 or visit 28 Zenderling Street, Rustenburg. Remember the name, Valley's Motor Spares.
After the recent attacks on Gaza, many families have been displaced with their homes left destroyed. Through your donations, our teams are on the ground in Gaza, providing support and delivering necessary aid to families affected. The people of Gaza need your help. Give hope. Donate today to Penny Appeal South Africa. www.pennyappeal.org.za 031 1100 573.
We are here on the ground with many appeal organizations in Gaza.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041-583-6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
You South African, of course. You anxious about the future. We've got you covered. Build on your wealth portfolio with Randry Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange. Visit us at 151 Stephen Dlamini Road, Musgrave, Durban, or call us on 031-202-4700 for more information. Randry Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange, your passport to gold investment.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Salam Media this last week of Women's Month as we discuss resilience. My guest today is Katie Mohamed, authoress of the book Brave Today. Welcome back, Katie, and looking forward to more of this inspirational conversation that we're having.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So we left off where we spoke about how you navigated through life, realizing that, the various imperfections that you recognized in yourself, but then you grew. And it was almost a cathartic process where you said reconciling the past and now heading forward into the future with this new purpose of sharing the story, this memoir, as the inspiration of a legacy. Now, Katie, what I loved seeing at the book launch was the diverse community in the audience, people of, different cultures, different religions. And that spoke to exactly who I see myself as being, people do not just approach us because we're Muslim or because we belong to a specific group of people, but they actually see who we really are and become friends with who we are. How important was that in shaping your personal growth?
I write about collecting the good people in my book, and that's a huge chapter, but in order for you to collect the good people, you have to be good people. And for me, I have chosen my tribe wisely. I often say it's the ones that matter will always show up for you. I've chosen great role models in my life that I mentioned in the book. I have looked up at heroes and sheroes, and I always have intentionally hung out with the right people. And yes, people would say, oh, you always seem connected, or you always, are around these influential people. It's an intention, because I know through these people, they have a huge influence in my life. So whether it's a personal, professional, or whether it's my social capital, these tribes of people have made. So some have changed along the way, and it's okay. You don't have to be, the ego tells us, oh, I've known this person for 40 years. I've known this person for 30 years. No, you can know someone for 2 years. You and I know each other for 5 years. And, we have access to each other. So for me, it's really about look for people who radiate positivity and a genuine interest in your well-being. And I think that for me has been the core. So yes, I am fortunate. I'm extremely privileged to have people of diverse culture. And the Quran tells us that. There's a reason why the Creator has created people that are different.
Yes.
It's because we can learn from them. We can
Yeah.
learn tolerance. We can learn ideas about other people's cultures and value systems. And for me, so I've always been privileged, I said, that I collect the good people, and through these good people I've had the most amazing experiences, been in the right environment. So I said, in order to collect the good people, you have to
You
be
need.
good people.
You know, what I loved about it is, especially coming from KZN, we have a very different mentality to our environment and who we surround ourselves with, because we were never in isolated communities. Well, speaking from my own experience from being in Pietermaritzburg, and it teaches us a sense of respect for everybody, all, one and all, which I think our children are very protected from. They, in fact, come from a very fear-based approach of how do I talk to this person if I have nothing in common with them. And it's finding that commonness that would link the humanity between us, and then earning that respect of different perspectives. It's as simple as in these Islamic gatherings, standing in respect at someone else's function should they be reciting something that you're not attuned with. And that's where the segregation and the differences come in, which I really thought of mentioning on the show today, because it speaks to who you are. And you said you collect these good people, the social capital. And yes, we do outgrow people. I mean, I'm probably one of the few people I know that don't have friends for 25 and 30 years. And that's because I noticed that in order for me to grow as a female, as a woman, I want to constantly be with people that grow my mind, grow my spirit, but are the energy that I want to attract in terms of positivity, inspiration, happiness. Life is too short to be with anything but that. So letting go has been a process, Katie. And I know you're an advocate, as you said, you have these role models, but you've been advocating membership since I've met you, mentorship since I've met you. And you've always strongly recommended this to me in terms of my personal growth. And I was surprised, at the book launch to see one of your newest mentors speak about you for that span of 12 months. So how does one go about choosing a mentor? And then how do you approach that person? Because it is quite intimidating. You're obviously choosing someone that is better, larger, influential, as we say.
I think I often say sometimes your mentors choose you, because they choose you. With me, is I'm fortunate that yes, you're speaking about somebody like Dr. Stavros Nicola.
Yeah.
Again, being brave enough to know who he was, and the access that he has to people. I never knew he's the kind of person he is inside, because I've read about him. And the only way I could find out about him is if I got to spend some time with him. And for me, it was really about, I think at that time I was an entrepreneur. And when I knew that things need to change in my life, and sometimes you exhausted, and it's like, okay, how do I get impactful mentorship? Like, I mean, I have access to people, right? I'm not blowing my horn. I have access to people, but what are they going to give me that I know that is going to be true to me and the kind of person that I am? And I love, and again, he moved his dinner with some Americans to come to there because he showed up for me. And I think he saw something in me that he wanted to invest in the time. So I think for me, sometimes I always say it's mentors, mentors find you, they choose you. So for me, it was, he teaches me how to be an inspiring leader. He teaches me how to take networking and making it, connecting, how to connect with them. So I think for me also, it was really about, which I think I flawed in, was like strategic decision making, because I'm an emotional person and I make emotional decisions. And I think so. It's like he gave me the confidence to make better decisions. And what I loved about him is that he wouldn't call me Katie. I mean, all the years that I know him, he would call me by my name, Khadija, and he was like, I will not call you Katie, because that is not your name. And of course, he was there. So for me, it was me meeting him, being brave enough to go up to him years ago and keeping the connection with him. And every time I saw him at events, I made sure he recognized me. I made sure he remembered me. And that's the most important thing, is people need to remember you. And of course, sometimes we think we have nothing to offer them, but we do have. We have our charm. We have all these amazing things that we have inside. And yes, I am privileged to have him share his experiences, and I think he did say that it's not all that I ask him about, because I ask him about what are the new pharmaceutical things about staying young. So I mean, I am privileged to have him as a mentor in my life at the moment. But all I'm saying is, be brave enough to go up to people, and also if they say no, it's also okay. Because when I first met Stavros, he never had a lot of time for me, but I think he always saw me in the right surroundings, and then he thought, oh well, this is somebody I actually can help with. And so yes, it was 4 years before he actually committed to spending time with me. So it's also a no, I always say, is not now. But eventually, and it's okay. So keep being resilient, and keep being persistent, just be persistent. Okay, don't be a nag.
Annoying.
Yeah.
So, I love that the Quran also mentions one of the forms of charity that people can give is imparting knowledge onto another person. So as a mentor, making that niyyah and that intention to actually leaving the legacy in terms of the influence on another person's life, that is wonderful. And that's where, our religion just seamlessly gives us these practical ways to score brownie points for our hereafter. And that's what mentorship is to me. I currently am mentoring these 15 revert female women who want to start entrepreneurship journeys. And I really was looking forward to hearing that discussion at your, book launch, because I knew it would come up. It's something that I associate with you, is mentorship. So I'm glad I was present enough to get a few of those golden nuggets. So Katie, what are some of the interesting projects that you're currently working on? Because I'm sure you're not on a sabbatical post your book. You're just not that person.
I think I switched off the book months ago. It's really good to actually have a lot of media. I mean, I've been looking at the media, and I've had also great responses on my book as well. People are saying that it does talk to them. So I will always continue working with great projects. It is the 30 years of democracy, and I work a lot on nation branding. I work a lot with the government in creating some great projects for them. I'm currently making a documentary about the 30 years of democracy, and really it's about what were the disablers in apartheid and where are they now. So that is a great project I'm working on. I'm working on a social impact summit. It's really about, I'm very passionate about purpose work, like I said, in my older years. And really it's about, I'm working on a social impact summit. It's really about how public-private partnerships have contributed to social economic impact in South Africa 30 years later. So it's not all doom and gloom, and it's how NPOs have contributed working together with government and corporate. So really I'm putting them all together, and that would be in October. So yeah, there's a lot that's in the pipeline.
And we look forward to these type of projects and events that you host. It's also, again, bringing the diversity of our communities and putting that Ubuntu back by having us sit at the table with these type of conversations, which we ordinarily would not do ourselves or have the opportunity to be invited to ourselves. And that's what I really find as a takeaway. And that's why I asked, because people should start following you and start seeing the type of work you do, supporting these causes, buying these books. So how do we get the book, Katie?
Okay, so currently it's online. It's you can order it at ktm.me. And of course, a lot of people have been ordering, and you get it within a day or two. So it's ktm.me, and just scroll down onto my website and you'll be able to get my book, which is called
We're going to share that online on Salam Media. Now, before we leave, I'd like you to just, take the opportunity, because you've always stood, as you said, for social impact. So we're going to speak about your trip to Aqsa and what that has meant in this journey of life for you.
Oh, I get goosebumps even thinking about it. And I said, and it's so emotional. When Firdaus, my friend Firdaus, and I decided that we were going to go to Aqsa, we never knew that there was going to be a genocide 6 months later. And I think it's again, it's a calling. It really is a calling. And if anybody ever wants to go, do not ever hesitate. So for me, it was a privilege. And when I walked through those cobblestones, I remember the first morning Fijr, and I walked through those cobblestones, and you see, you just see you see like the moon, and you see the dome, and you there's no words. There's absolutely no words. Your eyes will gaze in the awe of the surroundings. There is nobody that can say that their voice gets held up here. You feel a sense of peace, no matter what and how you see the men and women in with arms and rifles. You feel safe. There's no harm that can be done to that glorious dome of rock is the one thing that catches your eye. The architecture is something that just leaves you speechless. And I remember after Fijr and after making Salah and reading, we walked out, and it was the sun that just radically and majestically just appeared through there. And I think we sat under those olive branches, and we took in the privilege and the honor of being there, knowing that is where the prophets sat, and you sat there in awe and said, imagine that this could have been where that prophet sat there. And I think for me that was amazing. You just see flocks of people running to get to the first line in the masjid there, just to follow one particular direction. I mean, you're like a stranger in this crowd. You literally a total stranger in the cloud. But I think for me it was just being in the blessed grounds, the grounds that consist of Islam's first Qibla. I mean, just being there, the second masjid on earth, the very place that the Quran has mentioned. There's no one that could say that your eyes do not well with tears. And it actually softens your heart, and you realize that this place that you are standing in is truly blessed. And every time you even want to stand outside and make salah there, that gentle breeze that comes through, it's like you are. I know it sounds crazy, but it feels like your skin has been kissed. And there is no better place on earth that I chose to be and or be part of was that. And I think that for me was called home. And it's always like, it's time to go home, and that's where you will be. So for me, that was the most amazing thing. And I think what I learned from that is sabr, is the patience that you stand in there, and some other human or Zionist human decides whether you can go in or not. And I also found that as much as I was part of a lot of discrimination, that my friend's married to a Black Nigerian Muslim, and that he was pulled aside and given a hard time. So there's a lot of prejudices and discrimination against within our communities as well. It's like they look at you as that you don't belong there. But I think it's that you have to have that level of sabr and say, this is your fight, this is your insecurities, and this is not mine. I'm here because I have a purpose. So for me, it's every single day that I was there for 2 weeks. I was always excited to get up. I was full of energy, and just like you running through the gates to get through the different gates, and also just finding yourself through that, because you get lost in there, and then you're like, the gate that you went in is not the gate that you come out of. So for me, it's just indulging in the beauty of this blessed holy land was the most amazing thing. And alhamdulillah, I can say that I will go there again, because it's a place I do call home. I mean, and so
and I think
Yeah.
Dear listeners, that's what makes Katie Mohamed a storyteller. I felt like I was in Aqsa when you were talking. I mean, just the way you said it, the descriptive words that you use, this is the beauty, and this is what I wanted to bring onto the show, that we often now, especially this last year, associating it with so much of devastation, so much of destruction, bad news. Our entire opinion of the place has changed so much that when we talk to people who have actually been there, it's such a different perspective, a different experience, a different feeling. I mean, it takes you back to the fantasy tale of the Buraq. It takes you back to, as you sing, the beauty of the Dome of the Rock, the golden temple of ours, at Aqsa, the third Haram, with so much of respect and so much of love that we need to reignite in these stories, and the opportunities we get to tell them that this is what Aqsa means to us. This is what Palestine used to be, and inshallah will be one day. Katie, strangely enough, I was supposed to go with Salam Media this September. It was on my bucket list because I've never been. And unfortunately, due to the hostile environment currently, it's put on pause. But please pray that I do end up going. And I'm going to send you a postcard from Aqsa.
Yeah,
but thank
but
you
if you talk
so
about
much.
resilience, if you talk about resilience, you would know that Palestinian people are the epitome of resilience. They're the epitome of having sabr. And I think that for me is something that is so divine. It's a divine emotion that I aspire to have, is that kind of resilience. And
there's no age prejudice in that resilience, because you see it in the children and you see it in the elderly and the adults, and you feel like that's where you're drawing yours from, right?
Yeah, it's a sanctuary. It's a noble sanctuary that we all should aspire to go to as a bucket list. And yes, we all want to travel the world every time, but let that be a bucket list. But yeah, that it's the complex holds a divine magnificence, and that's what I can say. It is of divine nature.
That's wonderful. So, Katie, before you part, and thank you so much for giving us the time. I know how busy you are. Any advice for our listeners out there in terms of an inspirational quote, if you may, or anything that you live by?
I think my most recent one is live your life with authenticity, intent, and purpose. And I think if you live your life with authenticity, and if you get up every day intentionally, why am I here? What do I need to do for today? And purpose. What is my purpose? What has my creator sent me on this earth to do? Because I don't think it's the slave of the dollar or the rand. So I think for me, it's really about live your life with authenticity, intent, and purpose. And like I said, is be brave today. Don't put off bravery for tomorrow. Be brave today, because they say God does not give you grace for tomorrow. He gives you grace for today. So I think in all of that wisdom, if we can ultimately be good, kind human beings, that is the legacy that we want to leave behind.
Wonderful. Thank you. So well said. And something that we leave as an inspiration for our listeners forever and ever, as a footprint of Katie Mohamed. Thank you so much, Katie. Lots of love. Jazakallah for your time. Really appreciate you being on Salam Media with us today.
Thank you so much, Shahista, and thank you to the listeners for having me.
We are going to cross over for an ad break before we continue the end of the show.